Hey, what's going on guys? This is Jake at That Fit Friend, and today I'm going to be talking about 5 of my favorite barefoot / minimalist shoes for beginners. I put a slash there because these shoes are all barefoot-esque in nature. They're all minimalist shoes, but they have slightly thicker stack heights than some of the more minimalist models on the market. So if you are a beginner to minimalist style shoes, you're gonna want to acclimate to this style of footwear. So having a minimalist shoe with a slightly thicker stack height with a little bit more cushion can help kind of ease you into this style of footwear, so then you can transition into something with a lower stack height that puts you really close to the ground. That's gonna change the overall feel of the shoe. So these 5 models are pulled for that reason. So that being said, let's dive into my first pick. So my first pick is the Lems Primal 2. So 3 reasons why I like this model for beginners is number 1, it does have a slightly more cushioned ride and a slightly higher stack height. So this rubber sole here is a little bit thicker than what you get with other barefoot shoe companies. Also, you have a removable insole, so you can vary the cushion you get with the shoe. And I like that the insole is a moisture wicking insole as well, so it does kind of help with sweat. The second reason why I like this model for beginners is I find them pretty dang comfortable for daily wear and for light training. So if you want a minimalist shoe for using for some light leg days and for wearing out and about, for walking and whatnot, this model can be a pretty comfortable option. The rounded sole actually feeds pretty well into walking. However, for training, it's not the best, and I'll talk about that in a second. And the third reason why I like this model is with its open weave mesh upper, it breathes pretty well. So you can wear this model in most seasons and they'll give you a good level of breathability, but then you could also wear them with thicker socks and they're heavy enough to give you enough warmth. Now, 2 reasons why I'm not the biggest fan of the Lems Primal 2 is with its rounded sole construction here. So you can see like how there's a little bit of a rounding around the sole of the shoe. It can be a little bit off-putting at times, and honestly, this shoe I think will take you at least 1 to 2 weeks to kind of get used to with its feel, because it doesn't necessarily feel like a traditional shoe, and honestly, this rounded sole I think can be a little bit hit or miss at times, so definitely keep that in mind. And the second reason why I'm not the biggest fan of this shoe is with this mesh upper, it's not the best for inclement weather. Like if you wear this out in the rain, it is going to absorb water a little bit more than other models on the market, so definitely something to keep in mind with the shoe. It can be a great all-season shoe when you're not going into inclement weather, but if it's damp and whatnot, definitely keep that in mind with the Lems Primal 2. But overall, Lems Primal 2 can be a viable option for somebody that wants a minimalist shoe for walking and daily wear and for doing some light working out. The next model I have is the WHITIN barefoot sneaker, and I believe that is the term. Amazon's not the best at naming the WHITIN shoes, but 3 pros and 3 reasons why I like this model for beginners is number 1, their price point is super beginner friendly. So this model generally retails around like $59.99 USD. However, they are often on sale for like 40 bucks. I bought my pair I think for like $43 USD. So if you don't want to drop a ton of coin into a minimalist shoe because you just want to get used to them and you're not sure if you want to really transition to this style of footwear full time, this can be a really good option to look into. And that takes me into my second pro, which is for the price. Honestly, the shoe looks pretty good regarding its overall minimalist construction. So you have a little bit of WHITIN branding here, which isn't the biggest deal, but when it comes to its like just clean knit upper, I do like this shoe because you can kind of rock it casually and it doesn't necessarily shout barefoot shoe. It doesn't look out of place with most outfits. So I do like that about this model. And the third reason why I like this shoe is its overall sole construction. So this model's stack height is a little bit thicker and it also has a removable insole, so you can technically get closer to the ground with it. But with its sole construction, there's a lot of flexibility. And honestly, I've really enjoyed wearing this shoe with and without socks because they are very comfortable and you have plenty of width up here through the forefoot. So if you want to get used to a budget-friendly barefoot shoe or minimalist shoe at that, this can be a very viable option. Now, 2 cons that I have with this shoe is number 1, the knit gets dirty really fast. I haven't had this model for that long and my knit is already pretty dang dirty. Now, since they are cheaper, I'll probably just throw them in the washer and dryer, which I don't recommend for most shoes, but because this model is like $40 USD, I'll probably clean them that way. But the upper definitely doesn't stay the cleanest, so if you are worried about that, go for a darker colorway because this knit upper does attract dirt and dust like a dang magnet, so keep that in mind. And the second reason why I could see others not liking this shoe, and this is my constant dilemma with the WHITIN models, is that it's a company owned by Amazon. So I always have to ask, like, okay, if this shoe is this budget friendly, like where are they sourcing the materials? How is this shoe being made? So I could see that as a con for some folks. And also there are little flaws with the shoe. Like we do have some fraying down here with the materials. So overall, it's a really great shoe for the price point, but there are a couple of knocks with it. My third pick is the Lems Primal Zen. So 3 reasons why I like this model for beginners is number 1, it does have a little bit of a thicker rubber sole compared to other barefoot shoes, and it has a removable insole. So similar to the Lems Primal 2, this model's stack height is a little bit thicker, so it does give you a slightly more cushioned ride. A rock just fell out of my shoe, and that takes us into our second pro actually, is that if you want a shoe, I think for daily wear, walking, standing, and then also using for casual hikes, this model can be a pretty good pick. So I have worn this on some casual hikes with the dogs and it's worked pretty well. You get a decent level of tread from this grip as rocks literally fall out of my shoe. And the third reason why I like this shoe is its breathable upper. So this model has a mesh upper through the forefoot here, and that gives you a nice level of breathability. I will rock this shoe with or without socks because either way, my foot remains pretty comfortable with the climate in this shoe. So I do like that about this model, and it has a decent level of security through the midfoot, which I could also see working really well for low volume feet. So 3 reasons why you might want to pass on this shoe is number 1, this model, while I like its midfoot security, might not have the greatest upper for certain foot anatomy. So if you have a very thick foot or you constantly feel limited in your minimalist or barefoot shoes, or just your shoes in general at that, if you're a beginner, that might be a reason to pass on this shoe. The second reason why you might want to pass on the shoe is that if you want a shoe for colder weather wear, this model may not be your best bet because this mesh does breathe really well. This is honestly not my favorite shoe to wear on colder winter days. The third reason why you might want to pass on this shoe is that if you are very particular about the appearance of your shoes, this model I feel like can be pretty hit or miss. I like my appearance of my shoe, but I've also had a couple of friends call me very granola-y when I wear this. I don't take that as a diss. I take that as a compliment because I love granola, and I think that they mean it in an endearing way, but the appearance of some of the colorways could be a miss for some folks, especially if you don't like necessarily the clunkier mesh look of this midfoot, the toe box, and the heel back here. Another great model to look into is the Icarus Ascent. So 3 reasons why I like this shoe for beginners is number 1, I like the white leather upper. They look very much more casual in nature, so you can rock this shoe, for example, to a business casual work setting. You can wear them out and about, and the white clean leather upper looks pretty good. Granted, my shoe's not the cleanest anymore. As you can see, I definitely need to do some spot cleaning on this shoe. The second reason why I like this model, especially for beginners, is the shoe comes with toe spacers and 3 different insoles. So the insole that I'm using in this shoe is the thicker insole. So as you can see, you have a little bit more padding with this, and it has a slightly higher stack height with a little bit more cushioning. So if you're brand new to barefoot shoes or minimalist shoes at that, you can use this insole, and it makes this shoe a very viable option for all day wear without it getting overly uncomfortable. The third reason why I like this shoe is its overall flexibility and its tread patterning. So the shoe grips the ground pretty well, so you can rock them out and about for walking and all day wear, and I don't think you're gonna have slip issues in the shoe, and it flexes really well despite having a slightly thicker insole in it. Now, 2 cons that come along with this shoe is number 1, I have heard from some folks that the midfoot can be a little bit jarring. So if you have a flatter midfoot, that would be something to consider with this shoe because we do have a little bit of a taper here through the midfoot. The forefoot is plenty wide for most foot anatomies, but this midfoot could be a problem for some folks. And the second reason why I think this shoe could be a miss for some beginners is it has a higher price point. So at a price of $144 USD, if you're not trying to drop over 120, 130 USD on a white leather minimalist shoe, then this model might not be the best pick for you. My final pick is the WHITIN casual barefoot sneaker. So this model is similar to the other WHITIN model. However, it is a little bit more casual with its upper construction. And so 3 reasons why I like this model for beginners is number 1, this model has the best price point of this whole list. So this model comes in around $40 USD. So if you are trying to drop the minimal amount of money for your pair of minimalist shoes, this can be a pretty good option to look into, and it's pretty consistent overall. The second reason why I like this shoe is it's super comfortable to wear with or without socks, and it's very casual. So if I'm just walking the dogs around the neighborhood, or if I'm just going to grab some coffees, or if I'm just running errands, this model does a pretty good job. The third reason why I like this model is its sole construction is pretty dang comfortable. So you have a nice amount of width in the shoe, but you also have a slightly higher stack height, and you have a removable insole. So again, this model is not going to be a true barefoot shoe regarding its overall minimalism, but for an in-betweener at a really good price point, this shoe can be a very viable pick. Now, 2 cons that come along with the shoe and 2 reasons why you might want to pass on them is number 1, you get what you pay for. So the mesh upper in this model is already kind of starting to get fuzzy on me. Also, there are loose threads on this shoe as well, which I'm not the biggest fan of. So when it comes to quality, it's okay, but it's not going to be the most premium quality because at the end of the day, the shoe costs $40 USD. And my second con is, once again, it's a dang Amazon owned company, and I have such an internal conflict when buying WHITIN shoes, but dang, I love good deals, but at the same time, I'm like, gosh, I don't like supporting Amazon. However, once again, if you are strapped on a budget or if you just don't feel like dropping a lot of money, this can be a very good pick at $40 USD. And honestly, the other WHITIN model also performs pretty well. So don't let my bias influence your buying decision, especially if you are working with a budget. All right, y'all, there's up this list of 5 beginner-friendly barefoot/minimalist shoes. If you have additional questions on any of these models, drop a comment down below or reach out to me personally, whichever you prefer. And as always, drop a like on the video, drop subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.